Welcome everyone to our first Pitch Unfiltered Public Demo Day. My name is Mohammed Ahmed. I'm the founding partner of Start Equity Venture, and we focus on pre-seed and seed investments. And I'm here partnered with Wael Shawaf from Unstuck Labs. Wael?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wael Shawaf. It's pronounced Wael like it's been a while. And Unstuck Labs, we focus on underserved founders that are non-technical and want to build emerging tech. We do this by accelerating, building through a digital agency, and funding them, and then connecting them to our network. We're based here in Washington, D.C. area, and excited for today's pitch contest.
Excellent. So we're excited to have you all join us today. Welcome to our panelists, our judges, investors, and newcomers. Thank you. Here today, we're excited to have you all join us to meet these incredible founders and see them showcase what they've been working on. Today's format, our format for today will be really centered around the startups doing their 3-minute pitch. We'll then have our panelist judges do a 2-minute debrief. And this is a debrief as if they were just pitched, right? And now they're behind closed doors and having a discussion amongst themselves, right? About whether they would or whether they would not invest, and what are the questions that they would come back if they wanted to have a follow-on conversation meeting with the startups. Then we'll give the founders 2 minutes to respond. And then with that, we'll move on to the next founder. We'll then open it up at the end for the panelists and judges to pick their top 3. And then we'll open it up to the audience to do their voting as well and pick their top 3. So with that, I'd like to pass it on to the panelist judges. I will pass it on to Raza Rafiq. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mohammed and Wael, for the introduction, for the intro and the background. My name is Raza Rafiq. I am an operating partner in Start Equity and also a 2-time startup founder with Exits. Very excited to be here today to listen to these founders present their ideas and engage in meaningful discussions.
Thank you, Raza. Tatiana?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. I am the managing partner of Mere Capital and also, of course, an advisor to Start Equity. 15 years in venture capital and fund of funds, managing investments in both VC funds and early stage technology startups. Also sit on the jury of InnoSuisse and SIGTIC.
Thank you, Tatiana. And last but not least, Craig.
Hey, everybody. Craig Zingerline, 6-time founder. So I definitely have been on the other side of the table a bunch. I've had a couple wins and a whole bunch of epic losses that I've learned a lot from. So it's a very humbling experience. So I have a lot of empathy for what you're going through. Wish you luck today. My focus is really at the intersection of product and marketing. And I work with companies to try to help them reach product market fit and then to scale when they're ready. I'm currently running a small consultancy called Growth Minded, but formerly was at companies like Upside Business Travel, Red Tricycle, Sandbox, among others. And I'm based in the DC area.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig, Raza, and Tatiana. We look forward to hearing your perspective and the discussions you have. So with that, we will get started. First up, we have Rafa. Masood Adestani, you want to go ahead? When you share your screen, and when you're ready, the timer will start. 3, 2, 1 now.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Masood, co-founder and CEO of Rafa, and we're going after LinkedIn's launch money. In order to do that, though, we started at our beachhead. We built a contextual recruiting platform that understands context, captures culture fit, and hard skills from applicants without ever conducting a phone screen. So let's take a look at Tejas, for example. So Tejas recently raised, a couple $1 million. And just like any other founder that's on this portfolio right now, they decided to hire and pull software off the shelf, in this case being Ashby. And because qualifying is the biggest problem, he's pulled away from what they do best, which is building. He received over 6,000 plus applicants between inbound and outbound. Team was pulled away from what they do best. And team was decreasing productivity and wasting 50 hours a week qualifying the wrong person. just to have a pass rate less than 2%. So we decided to make a change and use Rafa instead. So the way it works, you're able to add audio questions into your job description and job applications. Once the candidate discovers it, they apply, add their details, and for the very first time, able to go above and beyond the LinkedIn, the resume, and provide the much needed context. And since hiring is a team sport, his team of 10 was able to build consensus at step 0 instead of receiving 10 different answers for the same question. Now, the result of it, he was able to decrease spam applications by 98% while increasing the pass rate by 50%. They skipped the first and second call and was able to save 60 hours a week. Now, the 100 billion data moat that's being formed right in front of you is a contextual recruiting network that is able to index every working professional's story, sentiment, passion, how they think, how they handle trade-offs without ever conducting phone screens, and connecting them to opportunities faster than any other platform. Tejas is not the only one, though. We have customers of 30 customers, 6K MRR, 200 plus paid trials, 35% growth month over month, 5% churn. And we've also created pilots with Walmart Labs as well as Autodesk. Product metrics, 20,000 minutes of audio transcribed and summarized and over 700 jobs posted. ICP, startups, agency recruiters, and as you can see, enterprise. Initial GTM motion has been ice cold outbound and word of mouth, and also rich audio, video and audio content led by me. LinkedIn is a one-dimensional company and Rafa is a three-dimensional company. Instead of spending $20,000 a month per seat on LinkedIn Recruiter, you're going to be paying $2,000. Speaking of pricing, the way we make money right now is $200 a month, $10 per seat. Enterprise is going to be $2,000 a month per seat. And yes, your AI agents will be paying us to source from our platform. We've been building products for 35 plus years. I was the design lead at Meta and Instagram. My counterpart, Marcelo, was a tech lead at Salesforce, Cloud Kitchens, and Amazon, Yahoo. And fun fact, I actually done the full cycle recruiting job for 8+ years on the side. We're raising 1 million at 8 million posts to reach 2 million ARR, looking to hire 2 engineers. We are backed by Jason Calacanis, Java Cream, co-founder of YouTube, and a few other amazing angels. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Just at time, Masood. All right. Tatiana, Raza, and Craig.
Yeah. So Tatiana and Craig, when I was listening to the presentation, I think one question that came to my mind was that their initial target market is startups. So for me, the main question that came to my mind was that what is the break-even point for a startup? So if somebody's paying them $200, I think it was per seat, how will they break even, right, as a startup by paying that? And then I think you also saw the pricing on the enterprise side, which is about $2,000, right, per seat. I couldn't tell if it was $2,000 per month or per year, but the similar question, similar logic there.
So I had 2 thoughts which really came to mind. One was, how does this integrate with other platforms eventually, such as LinkedIn, such as the other big Workday, etc. Because it does have to integrate at some point. And secondly, what does the experience look like for applicants also? Because on one hand, you do have the customers who are the startups, who are the enterprises, but at the end of the day, the bread and butter in recruitment comes from the actual applicants. So how does the onboarding process look like? Is it comfortable? Is it of ease? What is the drop-off rate? And finally, there was a churn of 5%. I am very curious to understand why there's a 5% churn and what the feedback has been.
Sure. Also, we don't know if it's dollar churn or it's logo churn, right? So
exactly,
that's the other thing that comes to mind.
And
what do
then
you think, Greg?
Super quickly, great presentation. I'm confused. Does this get rid of the written part of the interview, which is actually my favorite part because it lets me really apples to apples see what's happening? And then the second thing, I was a little confused on your $100 billion data moat. Like I didn't really buy it. I didn't get it. You moved really quickly through that. That's all. Great traction, great progress though.
Excellent. So we're at time and we'll pass it back to Rafa. Masood, go ahead. You have 2 minutes to respond.
Yeah, there was a few questions around, so maybe I can address one of them being around the churn. We had a few outliers of startups like closing shop as soon as I got them, and a few of them that probably just needed one hire for the next like 3+ years. And just that's kind of like what's been the reason and the rationale behind the churn. It hasn't been like product lack of features or etc. Now, when it comes to integrations, we are becoming the new LinkedIn. Right now, people are spending thousands of dollars going off of surface level materials, resumes, LinkedIn's, fancy posts, titles, stuff like that. But we all know that's not how you get hired. It's, can I trust this person? Do they have the actual hard skills? Can they actually back up what they have to say? So one story is when we onboarded GitHub, hiring manager came in, signed up, he's expanding his team in Atlanta. When he went to the creation of the job, he asked one simple question, and that was, do you like to take a number of small bets or one big bet? Explain. And then I turned to him and I was like, you sure about that? Is that the only thing you want to be asking here? And then he looked at me dead in my eyes and he said, you let me worry about that. I've been doing this for 30 years. I know exactly what I'm listening for. And that, Craig, is what we're solving, is the veil, like removing the veil of uncertainty and showing and taking a peek into the future of how this person thinks. And by doing that, you eliminate so many back and forth between the recruiting coordinator, the sourcer, the recruiter, taking guesses and building consensus at step 0. Now, when it comes to revenue, Raza, it's $200 a month. It's not per seat for like startups, but like for enterprise, $2,000 a month will allow you to source on top of Rafa. So you'll be able to index every working professional story through audio resume profiles. Instead of being told, creating a job, then you're able to source their profiles and be able to understand the context. Hopefully that kind
Thank
of
you, Masood. Thank you.
Excellent.
Good job.
So, yes, time is up. Now, thank you for that, Masood. Appreciate it. Next up is Prize.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. All right, should I go ahead and start?
Yep, you got it.
Perfect. Hey, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I'm the co-founder of Prize. Prize helps companies with hourly employees increase profits, productivity, retention, and employee happiness by incentivizing performance and focus with rewards. We work with companies like Dunkin' Donuts, Amazon, McDonald's, Sport Clips, and more. And maybe you've heard of us. Prize is also the app that finally gets employees off of their cell phones at work. The real problem is that cell phone use at work is just one of the many things making hourly employees so unproductive, costing companies to lose millions every day in time, money, and turnover. Actually, 85% of all hourly workers report always being distracted and unhappy at work. And when employees are unhappy, they just quit, right? Or they suck and get fired, or they just stand around and waste company payroll. This causes companies to lose $1 trillion per year in turnover, and distracted and unproductive employees cost companies another $759 billion a year. And those numbers are so high because hourly employees are the largest workforce in the world. They make up 80% of all employees, so you already know it's happening everywhere. And it actually happened to me for many years. Before Prize, I owned restaurants with hundreds of hourly employees and lived with these issues every single day. Basically, my employees were distracted, they were missing sales, they were ignoring customers and burning cookies. Basically, we had no good way to enhance their performance, retain our employees, or keep them happy and focused at work. So I put together a team of restaurant owners, hourly employees, founders with food and HR tech exits, and we created Prize. Prize gets employees to work harder, smarter, and longer by putting down their cell phones and accomplishing KPIs. Then we reward them for positive performance by giving them free stuff. We use gamification and recognition to increase employee performance in every single shift. And companies on Prize benefit with 78% more productivity, up to 10% more revenue, 46% more retention, and just better overall company culture. While their employees on Prize accomplish 4 times more goals, they increase revenue in almost every transaction, and they're getting an extra work benefit. So they're motivated to come to work and they love their job. We're growing in the best ways now. We're attracting corporates from multiple different industries. And this quarter, our revenue increased 123% over last quarter. We have the largest McDonald's group in the world as a client and 8 more corporate clients like Paris Baguette nationwide. So between signed contracts, onboardings, and pilots, we have $482,000 in MRR in the immediate pipeline, which we expect to close by February 2025. And in addition to that, We also secured a deal with the DLA, which is a branch of the US government, launching in this year worth $17 million. We're opening our next round of funding in January. We'll be raising $3 million to grow faster, convert corporate clients, integrate into more platforms, and expand the team in tech with AI and integrations. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Well done, Natalia. Raza.
Yeah, I think the question that comes to my mind immediately is, how does gamification really works, right? So if somebody is not using their cell phone for 10 minutes versus 30 minutes versus an hour, what is, the reward that they get? And then what really is the sweet spot? Because if it's a smaller, let's say a restaurant, they can actually have one, supervisor, who's there anyways. So how do you kind of justify the cost? And by the way, they didn't cover any of their pricing models, right? It's kind of hard for us to understand that what is their really business model. But these are my questions. Craig and Tatiana, what do you guys think?
I'm going to follow you on this. I'm not utterly convinced because I actually think that it can potentially, yes, definitely benefit the employer, but I don't necessarily think that it benefits the employee. So if we're really talking about employee wellness, I would like to see how can reducing your cell phone usage within the workplace, how are you meeting your mental health goals, your wellness goals, what rewards are you getting, which are not necessarily just linked to your company, or on this case, how are they linked to the HR? Are you getting extra days off? Are you getting recognition for taking care of yourself? So I think this one, I'm sure lots of corporates would sign up to it. For the simple reason that you're telling employees, you know what, stop using your phone, have more KPIs. But I just cannot position this really as an employee benefit startup. And yes, I'd like to hear more about the business model, the reward system, how it's integrated with it, HR, and different programs to actually really, really fit within the corporate culture.
I'll go quickly. Why would somebody churn? Have you had churn? How do you sell? And what creates stickiness? That's it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much for those questions. Yeah, thank you so much for those questions. So I'll break it down kind of in order, right? So we can cover it all together. I'll start with the business model since that was a question. Right now we charge per user per month. So we're charging $10 per employee per month. We actually just signed one of our largest deals at an average of $17 per employee per month. So the pricing is definitely increasing. We're also noticing that as we expand to different industries, there's more wiggle room for the pricing, right? Right now, we focus mainly in the restaurant industry because that's where we came from, right? That's exactly what we knew, and that's how we grew. That's how we sold as well. To answer that question, right? We sell it through outbound sales and trade shows, and a lot of it also comes from referrals, right? Our main go-to-market strategy was like targeting individual restaurant owners or franchisees, right? Get a bunch of like 5 different McDonald's all over the US, then use that data to go back to corporate McDonald's and then be able to prove that there's an increase in revenue and retention, culture, all these things, and then get the corporates to sign on board. So that's how that looks like. I also want to talk about kind of how it really works and the rewards and that type of breakdown. Right. So while we do limit cell phone use, that's not the only thing we do, right? We focus on increasing performance of the employee as a whole, right? So we just want awesome employees who do their best every single shift and do it with a smile because they are now like fairly compensated for this extra stuff that they're kind of doing. So while we are tracking different metrics that are custom to each client, all these goals that they're accomplishing, we're also getting them to put down their cell phone and talk to customers more, right? And talk to each other and kind of build that bonding. So they're winning things on prize that they are choosing, which is one of the benefits that they like, right? As much. So it can be cash, it can be a PlayStation 5, it can be a year gym membership. So we really do focus on that hourly employee space where they lack benefits, they lack recognition and appreciation for like the hard work that they do every day versus the corporates who have a rack of different benefits offered to them in their salary package.
Great. Thank you, Natalia. Appreciate that. That's prize.
Thank you.
All right, next up,
Thank you.
Arshan with WorkSense.
Awesome. All right, ready to go?
Got it.
We are. Go.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Arshan, CEO of WorkSense. We're on a mission to boost employee sentiment and retention. So 300 HR leaders told us that these two are the most important problems facing leaders. Yet they solved this problem with broken engagement surveys, a practice that hasn't changed since World War I. Gartner found that 22% of survey data is accurate. You're better off flipping a coin to learn how employees feel. And Gallup reports that employee engagement and survey response rates have plummeted since COVID. And a survey done by Microsoft below is an example of how inaccurate surveys are when asking the same questions to employees and leaders. They also cost a lot of money, on average $500,000 to $1 million, and take about 4 to 6 months. You got one to 2 months of writing the questions, 2 months of getting employees to take it, and if you're lucky, 2 months analyzing it. And we have so much data on employees, yet we only use 15% of it to understand engagement. So why are we building this? We were the team building surveys and people analytics at Workday and know exactly where they fall short. We have a combined 10 years of experience in HR tech. I also used to be a growth lead at Dave, helping scale to 11 million users and a $3 billion IPO. And Yezin, our CTO, is an AI and scalable systems engineer. We have advisors who have served as CHROs at companies such as Walmart, Binance, and even early employees at Workday, and we're backed by Antler and Alchemist Accelerator. So we're building WorkSense, automating team sentiment. What we do is integrate with employee communication and SaaS tools, then give real-time sentiment on well-being, engagement, performance, etc., along with understanding high performers, critical roles, and flight risks, and then hyper-personalize it to give AI-based actionable recommendations and cost savings on retention. This is an experience loved by the whole team. It's honest, there's no bias in the data, it's automatic, it captures everything in real time, it's private, our AI model anonymizes the data and we only look at public messages and we aggregate it to at least 5 members, and it's frictionless. The average onboarding time for our customers has been about 20 minutes. So 5WPR has saved over 350 hours on survey creation and analysis, and they're projected to save over $200,000 in addressing burnout. Sales Clover focused on disengaged high performers and are expected to save $1.2 million. If Salesforce or Meta had used us, they would not have to rehire the roles that they laid off. So we charge between $5 to $20 a user a month, and with 1 billion knowledge workers in the world, we have a TAM of about $144 billion. Competitors either go after speed or accuracy of data, but no one really does both. We're the first company that does both, and because we get deeper data in real time, that becomes our moat. So we have 12 customers at about $120,000 in ARR, along with 24 signed pilots, including ADT and Chick-fil-A. And our AI model has trained on over 4 million messages. And since we integrate to get deeper data, we plan to grow to performance reviews, recruiting, compliance, and security. We're raising $2 million for 12 months of financing to hit 1.5 million in ARR, and so far we have $600,000 committed. Join us on this journey to transform people management forever. Thank you.
Excellent. Well done. All right. So Craig, you want to kick us off this time in reverse order?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think the thing that I am curious about is, do these companies actually spend $500,000 to $1 million on surveys? Like that just really, it just
That was
doesn't
my first
seem-
question too. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like really believable to me. And then the other thing is that I still don't really understand the problem. So like you mentioned that there's these two problems that everybody has, and then that everybody hates surveys. Who hates surveys? And why do you say they're so expensive? Curious to what Tatiana and Raza think about that, or anything else.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. My first question that I have here was, what kind of survey in today's world costs $500,000 to $1 million? Nowadays, it's, a lot of that stuff is automated, and also capturing sentiment from all the publicly available sources. I think that's like a big time Big Brother type strategy, right? I mean, I would be very careful if I'm using any teams in a company that I know is even in an anonymous way looking at the data. So the whole kind of Big Brother aspect, kind of jumps out at me.
I'll jump in quickly. So I have exactly the same. I'm not sure what the problem is, and I'm not sure why surveys. but I'm thinking of a couple of friends who are CHROs who look at employee data in terms of financials, in terms of retentions, in terms of hiring. And I think with the right focus, it could be incredibly neat. What I'd like to know is how you're going to jump from 120,000 ARR to 1.5 ARR, 1.5 million ARR. What's the strategy behind that, and how are you going to use this data, maybe on a project basis?
All right, Arshan.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I'll try to go in order. So number one was about the 500,000 to a million on surveys. So we're talking about employee engagement surveys. We used to work at Workday. The average customer would spend $1.5 million on our employee talent management tool, right? And we usually charge anywhere from $10 to $20 per user per month. And so there's not only engagement survey, like writing the questions, we'd also come in as consultants. They pay them to write questions because writing the questions is always tough. HR always has a tough time doing that. And then if you look at like the hourly rate of people even taking surveys, it usually takes 30 minutes to an hour, once a year, twice a year. You multiply that by the person's average salary. It goes way beyond that. Most companies also hire Deloitte or McKinsey to help write the questions and analyze the data. That also costs $500,000 by itself. So that was actually a conservative number, number one. Number two, in terms of, is this really a problem? So employee engagement is one of the biggest problems, especially in today's world with quiet quitting. People don't know how people feel, right? And we're talking specifically about employee surveys. We're not talking about like SurveyMonkey surveys for, customer service. And so this is a huge problem. There's an ivory tower problem with employers and employees. Employees going blind for 30 seconds. You'll see how people really feel, or on Glassdoor, and then go to work, and then you'll see how people are not really telling you the truth on surveys, right? There's no psychological safety there. So the problem is really big, which leads to productivity and loss of engagement, well-being, burnout, that type of thing. In terms of, like Raza, I'm so glad you brought that up, the idea of like Big Brother. There's an unfortunate kind of dark truth in the world of corporate, which is that 60% of Fortune 500 companies are monitoring you every second with employee monitoring tools. They're using mouse movements, keystrokes. They're taking screenshots of your screen every second. They did that to me at Workday and Autodesk and other companies. And so, I just wanted to share that. And I think there's one more question, but I ran out of time.
Great. Thank you, Arshan. Well done. All right. Next up, we've got Lou from Pintours.
Awesome, everyone. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll dive right in. Hey, everyone. My name is Lou. I'm the founder and CEO of Pintours. We're focused on democratizing access to world-class tours. Instantly tour any city in the world in any language with the best guides led through the AI-powered Pintours app. So meet Molly. She's a world-class tour guide. People love her tours, but she often sells out months in advance. Unfortunately, she can only conduct one tour per day because in-person tours are time-consuming, challenging to manage, and expensive to run. Meet the Kelly family. They're a family traveling to Florence, Italy. They've heard great things about Molly, but unfortunately, by the time they've landed, Molly's unavailable and completely sold out. The family ends up skipping the tour and having a lackluster experience of Florence. If only there was a way where Molly could tour the Kelly family, she could make more money and more travelers could access her world-class tours. Well, today's technology and AI is ripe for enabling great tour guides to distribute their knowledge to all travelers in need of a tour. The solution here is a platform for the world's best tours, helping tour guides digitize their tours to be instantly done to the AI-powered Pintours app. Democratizing access to the best tours to anyone, anytime in the world, available in all languages at 1/10 of the cost, which can also be done with driving partners like limos, private cars, and scooters. So let's dive into our product. Guides onboard their tour knowledge with the AI-powered editor within hours. Tour guides pick the best locations, write immersive commentary, and location-specific music with the help of AI. Travelers can then purchase the tours through our marketplace, available on iOS, web, Android, and through our travel partners. All tours are available instantly and available in any language. From there, travelers are launched into our immersive guided audio storytelling experience. They're guided to each location on the tour with world-class storytelling, navigation, and music. We're also fully integrated with Uber, private chauffeurs, and scooters. Travelers can dive deeper with our proprietary AI tour guide, trained with our very own data, where travelers can ask questions, Learn more about each location with chat, voice, and vision. So our global market size is at 200 billion, but we're focused on the $100 million opportunity, which is high traffic locations in the USA. That includes major cities, national landmarks, national parks, and college campuses. Our monthly revenue is around 15 to 20K and averaging around 780 monthly users. Our financial projections show us growing from 65 tours to 500, which will bring us to $3.8 million in ARR. And our business model is simple. We just take a commission off each sale, and we take a little bit more of a commission for tours created with our AI. We're fully integrated with transportation, with Uber, Blacklane, private chauffeurs, and we're also working towards licensing our app to these partners with a monthly subscription. Our team has been around the block a few times. Me at Apple, special projects, 20 products reaching 100 million plus users. Matt, who's done 500 tours in 300 cities, and Zaid and Sam, who are running the show. And we're looking to raise 1 million, which will help us grow from 65 tours to 500, will help us flesh out the team and bring us to $4 million in ARR.
Awesome. Well done, Lou. Great. Let's go with Tatiana.
So I actually think this is a very neat idea. By the way, excellent pitch. First thing which comes to mind is accuracy of information. And how can this be used when you're looking at tours in a museum or something like this? Are there ratings for the tour guides, recommendations, and will you be looking at wider accessibility through the likes of Airbnb and other tourism marketplaces?
Adding on to what you said, Tatiana, I think, by the way, I like the green color. It's appealing. In the PowerPoint. I think the question that come to my mind is, I'm not still fully clear about the business model. What I understand is that the tour guides have to be part of this marketplace, and they have to basically add a lot of content. So what is in it for the tour guides? How are they going to convince hundreds or thousands of tour guides to come in and input, kind of data, one. And I'm also not sure that if their revenue is truly recurring in nature. We saw some numbers on ARR, MRR, and all that. I would like some clarity on that. How is that a recurring revenue, model, today and so on.
Yeah, it's a subscription membership or so. Craig, your thoughts?
I would, kind of piggyback on what Tatiana and Raza said. On some of the stuff, I think, Tatiana, what you were alluding to with this distribution ecosystem, I think that could be a huge ecosystem to dig into, but I wonder if there's a chicken and egg problem. Raza, to your points around business model, I was unsure what that was. I feel like it's going to be chunky. I think my biggest concern is you have these incumbents, like you've got Get Your Guide in here. You've got all these other players. I mean, I've worked in the travel space. It's incredibly hard to acquire customers. I'm very curious how you acquire the land grab of customers on the demand side.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Awesome discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, great questions, guys. So in terms of how we acquire customers, how we compete with Get Your Guide and all that, we're actually fully integrated with these platforms. And the great thing is we're the most affordable option because most of these tours require in-person guides, and that marks up the price a whole lot. And so our tours are much cheaper, and we're actually growing a lot on these platforms. And so we're also actually taking market share from these companies like Viator, Get Your Guide, TripAdvisor, and we're growing from there. And in terms of quality, how do we vet the quality? We have a whole review team that reviews the tours. We make sure everything's accurate. And so we're always going through that process and iterating over each tour, making sure everything's great. And we're also, looking for feedback. So if a tour doesn't perform well, we move it off the platform, and that's how we handle that. In terms of tour guides, how do they make money? A lot of these guys make a lot of great money with us. So the average revenue per tour guide is around $200 to $1,000 per month. And it depends on which locations they add. High traffic locations do better. And a lot of these guys recommend us to other tour guides because we're basically digitizing the tour world. So these tour guides are making money while they're sleeping. They don't have to be there in person. They love it, right? So we have a guy who's done all of DC, and he's like trying to add more. They've been making great money. And then in terms of recurring revenue, right now we just sell each tour as is. We take a commission off that. But our goal is, as we expand more and we have like a majority of the world covered, we can start to add subscriptions where consumers can do monthly subscriptions and just pay like $40 a month or $30 a month and get unlimited access. And we're also focused on our transportation partners like private chauffeurs and Uber, who would love to start selling tours. They just can't because they have to hire tour guides. And so with our subscription model, they're able to do that and utilize the tours, because hiring a tour guide in person is around $400 to $500, and we reduce that to around 20 to 30 bucks. So with these subscriptions, transportation partners can make money, and the consumer also saves a lot. And I think with that, we're out of time.
Well done. Thank you, Lou. Awesome response. All right. Next up, Abdullah Baig with PAM AI.
So impressed by everyone having their presentations ready. It's been flawless, knock on wood. Yeah.
Good job, guys.
All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. My name is Abdullah Baig, and I'm the co-founder and COO of PAM. PAM is an AI agent for car dealerships, and we are on a mission to transform communications for the automotive industry. So imagine we've all had a problem with our vehicle. You try to call up a dealership, they're very hard to reach, and you want to spend hundreds, perhaps even thousands of dollars to get your problem fixed. This is Kevin. Kevin is on the other side of that problem. And like every other general manager, he's spending $250,000 minimum on human staff that is still missing up to 50% of calls. And what Kevin wants is something very, very simple. He wants more revenue, reduced costs, and to just improve customer satisfaction, make people like you happy, and he wants your money. So enter Pam. This is Pam, the perfect solution for Kevin and for 54 other of our customers. Pam is handling service calls, sales calls, parts calls. She's booking appointments directly into their systems, just like their human reps do. She's upselling, answering questions about everything, answering calls in English and Spanish, which has been doing very well in places like Florida, where we have many customers. And Pam is reclaiming hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue, from booking these service appointments. And in Kevin's case, just last month, we recovered $55,000 worth of revenue that would have just otherwise been lost through missed calls. This is our dashboard. Here's an example of what our customers see when they're using PAM. They can look at recordings and listen to
Thanks for calling Largo
transcripts.
This is Pam. How can I assist you?
Yeah, I'd like to make an appointment tomorrow for an oil change.
Here's our traction in the last 6 months. Just today, I signed an agreement for 18 grand for the year, which puts us at $501,000 in annualized ARR today. We have 55 customers, and we expect to be at $1 million by the end of the month. We have some of the largest dealership groups in the country as our customers, including Lithia, which has 400 plus locations. And we recently reached a verbal agreement with Atlantic Coast Automotive Group. We already have a pilot in place with them, but they are now ready to sign a 3-year contract term for $2.7 million for 50 of their locations, which would double our customers. Here's the market opportunity. There are several billion-dollar enterprises that are already solving problems like CRM, like telephony, and there's a perfect opportunity, big vacuum for someone like us to bring in a communications platform to build $1 billion business, starting with new car dealerships, bringing us to our vision, which is an autonomous agent that powers inbound and outbound communications that can supplement the team internally and answer the call of the customer on every device, across every channel, in every language. We have several go-to-market channels. What I'm really excited about is reseller partnerships, which would account for several tens of millions of dollars in annual recurring revenue. We're in late-stage conversations. This is our team. We have a really strong team. We've been building and selling LLM applications for the last 18 months, and we're not actively raising, but I'm open to any conversation and would love an introduction in the automotive space. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Abdullah. All right. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Super interesting model. I personally have had tons of car issues in the last month and a half. In fact, Hyundai was so backed up that I drove all the way up to Towson. It was like almost 2 hours each way. I literally spent an entire day just to get my car in earlier. And most of the reason was because I wouldn't go to the dealerships here because I couldn't talk to a human. So I think it's a huge problem. I am curious what happens in terms of, and what the other panelists think about, like this beachhead / go to market again. Like I know from going to the Hyundai dealerships that they just redid their entire voice system. So like, why are they going to switch to this if they just put in that work? But those are my only observations. I think the multilingual is super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, good input, Craig. I think the question that comes to my mind is, it sounded to me that they have to do a more of a POC, proof of concept, with these dealerships. So before they can kind of do the buy-in. So I would like to understand that how much time they spend on these POCs, what are the costs? Essentially, what is the customer acquisition cost here? And then how do they kind of, monetize it? What's the lifetime value of that customer? Kind of like your typical SaaS metrics.
So yeah, I think Hazza and Craig covered it very well. I do think that it's a very interesting. I'd be also very curious to learn more about how you can integrate a 360 package as part of an automotive-led, car dealership-led CRM, etc. Because there, I think that you can really differentiate yourself on this. I have to say, excellent pitch. By the way, very courageous to do a short demo of your product within a pitch deck from a technical perspective.
Yeah, that was cool.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so totally hear you out, Craig. I mean, obviously, lots of customers that are calling up dealerships that are using PAM. They're loving the experience. Some of our customers in like the Southeast, for example, are calling up in Spanish and they're saying, "Thank you so much, young lady." And so a lot of people aren't even realizing that they're talking to an AI. I would say about 30% of people don't realize they're talking to AI. You brought up Hyundai, which has redone their phone system. In a lot of cases, the OEMs and the dealerships themselves are in like a constant battle, and the OEMs themselves cannot necessarily mandate technology on these dealership groups. And even within a dealership group, you could have GMs that are like minority partners for that specific location, and they have a lot of pull, and a dealer principal that's like basically the CEO of the group wants to give them the autonomy to make decisions. So they are open to like trying out whatever is best out there. Many of our customers have used old legacy voice products that are based on the flowchart based design and not the end-to-end LLM based design. And so they've turned off of those old platforms. They're now using PAM. They're saying PAM is like 10 times better. And I think in this case, Hyundai and some of the other OEMs are trying to build a platform, but it's still based off of that old paradigm and not based off the new paradigm. Which brings a good point on churn, right? We've only had 1.85% churn in the last month, and that's not because of a bad experience. It's actually because a large dealership group, they basically were blocking new vendor approvals. So even though we were already in the door, they had some corporate bureaucratic decision to make this decision to block vendor approvals for a few months. But that team raised hell about it, and we'll be back in a few months with them. But that's been our only churn to date. In terms of like the experience of like onboarding this and that, we onboard in 2 weeks. In like 2 days max, right? Or we could even onboard in a few hours, and within 2 weeks of a pilot, they'll usually convert to long term. So very short pilot.
Excellent. Well, that's great to hear that, Abdullah. Awesome work, and I've been watching you guys for some time, and I'm impressed with the how far you guys have come along. All right, next up, Maddie AI, Hamza.
All right. Seems like I can't share my screen.
Well, you jinxed it. Well,
I messed up.
I think Abdullah might have to stop sharing, actually.
Oh, yeah. Stop sharing on your end, but I think you're still sharing there. There you
go. Okay. Let's see. Let me know if anyone is unable to see it.
No, we can see it. Thanks.
And we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, I'm Hamza, and Mady now makes it possible for justice to happen in minutes, not months. My background's in being a PM at Google, doing deep learning on Tesla's Model 3 team, and selling an edtech startup to a larger edtech startup. Whereas my co-founders, Jared and Lachlan, are multi-decade quantitative traders, trading through multiple notable acquisitions to mega funds. And Jared actually pioneered AI, specifically neural networks, in the year 2007 when trading the US stock markets. And they both joined forces eventually to start their own successful quantitative trading firm before we all met at our last company. Now let's get right into it. Let me teach you a little bit about litigation today, where a complaint is when someone says that something bad happened. Discovery is a research project to understand what actually happened. And trial is when the judge says who's right and who's wrong. So As you can see, the majority of the costs are concentrated in discovery, and let me just show you how bad it truly is. So one of our users, about 2 weeks back, a few weeks back, her name's Ashley, image anonymized, of course. She's a San Francisco-based criminal defender who actually had the prosecutor dump 70,000 files onto her with a 72-hour plea deal notice on whether she wanted her guy to get 5 years in prison if she took that deal, or potentially go to trial and get her guy life. And very difficult decision for her, of course. Her and her paralegal could maybe get through 5% of those documents in those 72 hours. Unfortunately, this is a very prototypical case where attorneys on average spend 300 hours or more reviewing discovery every single case and still miss over 10% of key facts that are potentially outcome changing for the case. And that's exactly why we built Matey, which is a litigator copilot that automates discovery workflows in less than 10 minutes. Now, I'll show you a little demo of what happened to Ashley that Friday night when these 70,000 documents were dumped on her. She simply uploads them. Our AI agents that are actually fine-tuned by the best attorneys in the world for each specialization of law are then now auto-sorting them into the folders that Ashley cares about. At this point, actually, over 95% of her workflow is done. And now she can just sort by confidence on how confident the AI is for, the wiretaps folder or search warrants folder. And now everything's pretty much done. She can just smooth out any last mile knowledge gaps by asking about who the witnesses were in the case. And as you can see here, she doesn't have to believe her AI. She can just click directly into the sources if she doesn't believe what her AI says. Now, this has fortunately given us some exciting progress and traction, where just 4 months into launch, we have over 200% month-over-month growth, and every single attorney that puts a case into our system immediately follows up with 1 or more cases. And this is despite the concept of the billable hour does not affect us at all. We have over $3.5 million in annualized revenue at this point and $77 million in a very warm pipeline. And we're actually really happy to announce that our $4 million round is highly oversubscribed with 6.6 million committed to date. And our most common angel is from OpenAI. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Well done. All right. Raza, what are your thoughts?
Very interesting model. I think I totally get it. The whole discovery part of how much time it's spent. I think the question that was not clear to me were 2 or 3. One of them, I don't understand their pricing model, meaning that an attorney's are they paying fixed fees per month, or is it by the amount of documents they upload? I think that part will be very interesting to me, because if it's fixed pricing, then I don't know if that's the right model. 1 and 2, attorneys who are spending that much time, right? They are billing for it. So if they do this quicker, they're going to make less money. So I didn't understand that paradox, right? And also, what is the target market here? Small firms, medium firms, large firms. Because large firms can scale up, scale down, right? The problem that Hamza presented, they could have easily hired like 10 people, or they could staff up, staff down. And also, like with overseas, staffing in legal as well, you can also cut down the costs. So I think questions on the business model.
Good points.
I mean, what do you guys think, Tatiana and Craig?
So I had exactly the same question with you, Reza. It came down to billable hours for lawyers. At the end of the day, lawyers make money through billing, and they will go to court and demand an extension or other things. So it's, how does that work? Secondly, I see you have an expert team, but I see no lawyers on the founding team. So how do you deal with regulatory compliance, judicial reviews, special cases? How are libraries updated? So really, this is from a technological and judicial legal aspect, because I imagine when somebody's life or livelihood is on, I wouldn't just want an AI agent to be doing my lawyer's work.
And I will just add really quickly off of what both Tatiana and Raza said. I'm totally curious about that integration with the lawyers. And I'm curious about what breaks first or next in your model. Like, it seems like things are going amazingly well. Like, what's going to break?
All right, cool. I can get right into it. I'll just start off by answering the questions, then I'll share a slide to answer the last question. So The billable hour, fortunately, actually works in our favor in both cases, big firms and small firms. Big firms, no matter like what their hourly rate is and no matter how much they can scale up or scale down, which is a very astute observation, by the way, they all outsource their work to these ALSPs, which like are fixed costs. They actually tackle discovery and they compete with each other. So they actually have an incentive to save money and be as efficient as possible. So like big firms, these $1,000 an hour lawyers are not going to be looking at documents saying relevant, not relevant. They outsource all of that. And those outsourced entities are actually our distribution partners that have a revenue share with us, 70-30 in our favor. So that works well. Small firms, they want to save costs and do fixed fees, right? Many like law.com published something recently where they're all moving to fixed fees to compete with big firms to get deals. So the billable hour is fully taken care of from both cases. Business model, for small firms, it's a all-you-can-eat license. It's been working really well. It's a new paradigm shift that we're pushing on. And for government agencies, like our huge contract, it's actually on a per case tiered basis. So we get paid with every additional case that comes in. And then lastly, to tackle that last question, we're actually really excited about our expertise here. The way we go to market is we didn't have time in our deck, but I'll just show it here. Our product's co-designed and distributed by the best attorneys in each area of law. These are all legends in their own respective areas of law. And we have a 70-30, if not 80-20 revenue share with a lot of the firms here. And we're really excited to say that the reason why the fifth guy is not on this slide is because we hired him. So we have quite a few expertise across our team. And these people are mandated to actually spend a few hours a week with us. So we pretty much have a lot of attorneys at our disposal.
Excellent. Thank you, Hamza. I think awesome response and appreciate your thoroughness there. All right. Next up, last but not least, Wahed with Pocket.
Hi, everybody. Just making sure we can see the screen. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right. So good to meet you. My name is Vahid. I'm the founder of Pocket, the AI operating center for care centers. 83 million people in the US have a disability, and there's today not any effective way to deliver services through programs in a way that's scalable. My background, I'm close to this. My family has been providing support and job training to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities for over 25 years. I worked in every role, as you can imagine, in my family's business before taking time to go to work in technology. I was very lucky to be a part of the team at Appfolio. We took it public in 2015, and I've been a part of the team at Zapier as well, which is a Y Combinator darling. Many of us are solving for workforce and workflow issues that are problematic. Over 1 million people serve this community, and today 21 million documents at least are created in support and service and administration of the clients that they end up serving, eating up a bunch of time for low-skilled and hourly wage employees. This is a sample of the types of documents that are occurring in just one program. And you can imagine as force multiplication, this eats up a ton of time for people to take them away from the job they came to do, which is provide support to individuals with disabilities. This is an example of a legacy product. They're outdated. Many of them don't even have mobile application. We took a look at the 10 biggest competitors in the market. Only 3 did. And the reviews for those top 2 were pretty bad. You can see 1.9, 2.6 here for the major players in the space. There's a idea that we came up with, and that's crafting a graceful solution. We call it Pocket. So we plan to have it be as user-friendly and clear as Instagram is for the user, with the power behind it like ServiceNow, meeting all of the compliance requirements and multilingual, multimodal, and leveraging AI as well to be able to provide support with a mobile-first approach. We are not an electronic health record system. We intend to replace pen and paper, automating workflows and providing an opportunity for machine learning to deliver better care plans for future care. We position ourselves as a replacement to the legacy products. We will integrate to modern electronic health record systems, and we will power gig economy-based behavioral health programs as well as the underlying support. We're not the marketplace. We did a bottom-up market sizing. We took Department of Labor numbers. We found around 700,000 care centers. We targeted those with disabilities in them. We said we would try to get to 10%, and even if we're at 2.5%, we're still a unicorn in the way that we slice that. We've got a great pipeline. We've got customers paying for the product. We use a SaaS model between 15 to 35K. The per user's seat is around $9. And we've got great discussions with partners for distribution. We're raising $1 million on a safe, 10 cap. Right now, we've funded 250. We've got a great team.
Thank you, Vahed.
We invite you to join us.
All right. Excellent. Craig, what are your thoughts?
I still am kind of curious or confused as to like, who are you replacing? You know, and is it just like a straight up replacement? Or like, are these providers now going to have to use you plus these other like monolithic, like these huge old platforms that have, I mean, that screenshot with those reviews was hilarious. Like, holy cow. So I get it, but yeah, I'm just curious, like, are you a replacement or are you going to be like an add-on? Curious what the other panelists think, because I just, yeah, it kind of blew my mind when I saw that terrible review slide.
Nope. Actually, I had a very similar question. I also wasn't clear that I think that they mentioned that they are in pilot. I don't know how ready or how baked in the product is. I saw a lot of info on that we will do this, we will do these integrations, we'll build this AI model. I'm not really sure that how ready the product is. If I were to compare that with some of the other presentations.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm not 100% sure who the customer is. I've left not being 100% sure what the product is also, but I'm going to give some leeway that this is maybe because this is such a specific healthcare field that I'm not familiar with it enough. So I'm just a little bit confused in terms of what is the value add? Why would there be a switch over? Who's the customer? What is the size? What is the onboarding process? So this is my my outtake.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Tatiana. All right. Let's go back to you then, Vahed. I think you're on mute, Vahed, if you're speaking.
We lose Vahed?
Might be frozen. Looks like his screen is
Well, time is running out.
all right. We almost made it through with 0 hiccups. There you go.
All right, here we are.
There
we talked about the Zoom doing an update automatically, right? So there it was.
There you go.
Okay, so I got 3 questions, or the 3 panelists' questions. The first one was, who are we replacing? We are replacing those legacy systems. So the TheraApps and the SanDatas of the world. Our goal is to be the next iteration, the next generation, and future product in the space. Most of them are built in the early 2000s and have no downward pressure or no upward pressure coming into them right now in that market and in that space, Craig. Are we ready, Rasa? I think you always ask the best questions. You've always done that historically, so thank you for continuing the trend. Yeah, I mean, the idea is we're in pre-seed and pilot stage, right? So our goal is in this specific moment in time is to find and identify somewhere between 5 to 10 anchor customers that will be the place where we can do force multiplication on it. Today we have 4. We have 2 more in pipeline, one that verbally closed last Friday for a very big company as well that's providing this service. So yes, the idea is that we will be doing all of the work with them in the pilot stages, the design partnerships, the user testing, and all the other things that we need to be able to capture from them in order to make the product exactly in the place that we need to scale past pre-seed stage. And that's the goal of where we are with our fundraise. Tatiana, to your question, who are the customers? I run into this question so frequently because people with disabilities are so unseen. It's very difficult for people to conceptualize where it is. So the way I try to define it is we are building a product for where people with disabilities live and where they work. Typically, people think about medical tech as like a doctor's office, and you see people for an hour at a time. But there are 23 other hours in a day where people are receiving home care, job training, transportation, and every other variety of social service that lives underneath it. And those are our ideal customer profiles. Those are the companies that would use this as an IT line item expense.
Great, thank you, Vahid, for that response. Okay, now question to the judges. What's your top 3 picks, starting with Craig?
Okay, so
Number one, 2, 3.
Oh, we're going first. Number 1 first. Oh man.
Okay, go 3, 2, 1. Then go
Okay.
from the bottom up.
So I think my my third is Pintours. I really like the business. I think it's going to be really hard to scale this out, but I think you're really onto something interesting. I worry that you're using fake reviews on your website. Just a hunch. So if you're not, then like they look fake to me. So that would kind of sketch me out a little bit. My second is Mady. The panelists asked so many good questions that got like that would have been my number 1, but I think like Raza and Tatiana, you just made me think about some of the challenges I think with the industry that I wasn't thinking about when I was just all jazzed up thinking about. And my first is actually PAM AI. I think this space is totally underserved. I've actually worked with another startup that's it's in a perpendicular or kind of a parallel space to where you're at. And I think it's really hard to gain traction, but it's a really untapped market. It's not seen as like sexy. It's not consumer, right? I think it's going to be hard, but I just love the traction and the area of focus. I will say this was incredible. This is an incredibly strong group of companies. There's very little variance between my top and last actually. So, but I had to pick. So those are mine.
It's because of your Hyundai experience.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That pain point was so acute. And it was bad before that experience too. So it's always something that's just like lingering down there. So I don't think the problem exists for people that don't have to be in the car a lot, but yeah, so that was
Greg, let me know your preferred dealership and I'll get them into the pipeline ASAP.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Hit while the iron's hot.
Yes.
Good one. So Tatiana, what's your third, starting from the bottom? Third.
So my third would also be Pintour. I think there is a very real potential in the tourism market. You need to do a couple of things. You need to scale internationally. I don't think the US, it's a good starting point, but it's not enough specifically for US tourists. Secondly, you're going to have to be really, really careful with quality content, because my only concern would be, can I just go on Wikipedia and create content for every single site, let's say in Washington, and totally dominate that market, which I guess is kind of a goal. Making sure that the guides can really promote themselves across other platforms. And I actually think that you may have a little bit of a winner here. My second would be Pan AI. So full disclosure, I don't drive and I don't own a car, so I may not be your best customer. However, it is such a pain point. I think that the technology is extremely scalable. You can scale it to other solutions. Automotive sector is notably difficult, but I think by going with those mid dealerships rather than going directly with your Hyundais and BMWs and Mercedes, etc., you really have a huge growth opportunity. And then my number 1 is Mady. I've come across a couple of legal tech startups. I've actually worked with a couple of legal tech startups. And I think you are solving a very, very real problem. You're going to need to fine-tune the business model. You're going to have to look at how this can integrate across other areas of activity. But for me, if I were going to invest tomorrow, I would probably invest in this startup.
Excellent. Thank you, Tatiana. Raza.
Well, I mean, last but not least, right? I really liked all of the startups, and as Craig said, there's not a lot of difference between the top 3, but I am picking my bets based on the readiness of the business model and where I would be investing if I were to invest. So, and I also like the mix. We had 3 or 4 startups. They were talking the human resources aspect. We had one in automotive, we had one in legal, and last but not least in healthcare. So I really like the mix of it. In terms of who I would go with, I think my first one will be Maddie, because one, they are solving a real problem, and they're oversubscribed. That tells me that the market is viewing whatever they're offering in a favorable way. My second number would be Pam, and I also and both for Maddie and Pam. I know that Pam does this with multilingual, right? Spanish. I would be very curious to see that if for example, if Maddie can go beyond United States and maybe in the Middle East and kind of do this stuff with Arabic law, right? That's out there, and with Arabic courses, I think that there's a big opportunity there for them as well. And then the third one is Price. Price, even though they're targeting small and medium-sized businesses, they're also monetizing, they're also growing, they have a few big deals in the pipeline. So those will be my top 3.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. And we will go ahead and launch the polls, the voting for the audience. And we'll open that up for a few. So now the attendees in the audience can place your votes. You'll see on your screen an opportunity there to just pick your first, second, and third choice.
I see you can't vote for yourself. You're a panelist.
Yeah.
Good job blocking it out.
Okay. No, well done. I think founders, you did an awesome job. I'm very impressed. You guys are all really, when you look at what the problems you're solving, you guys are purpose driven, right? You want to make an impact. You're trying to design and create products and solutions that better society, right? And as you can all imagine, we've seen our fair share of platforms that don't do that, right? So I think what you guys are working on will bear fruit, right? And as you heard firsthand from the judges, right, there's a lot of potential, and the variance between all 7 of you, right, is very tight. And it goes to show the responses and as well as the feedback from the panels, the judges.
Can I just add that the presentations, your pitches, were absolutely all fantastic. I know how difficult it is to deliver a pitch online, virtually. So all of you did absolutely a fantastic job. And on my side, the selection also often has to do with the areas and the industries with which I'm most familiar with, and where I could look from an investor perspective, where I could actually add tangible value. But just wanted to congratulate absolutely all of you with this format.
Excellent. And we'll wrap up the poll now. And I'll share the results. So looks like first choice, let's start from the bottom. Third choice, it came down to Pam AI. Second choice, also Pam AI. And first choice, Matty AI. So well done to you all. Thank you again, everyone, for your participation. Thank you to our panelists. I really appreciate it. We had an awesome discussion. Hopefully the attendees and investors, you guys enjoyed this format. And thank you for all the attendees. I really appreciate the time that you've taken out of your busy schedules. We will be sending out the recording and following up with additional information for those of you that would be interested in learning more about these founders and the awesome work that they're building here. And with that, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mohammed and Wael, for putting this together, for all the hard work.
So great.
Yes. Thank you so
Congrats,
much, Mohammed, Wael, for bringing us all together, for making this happen, for hosting such a fantastic event and introducing us to great purpose-driven founders.
I appreciate you all participating, and we'll keep refining and getting ready to do the next one too. So thank you all.
Great stuff. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Hamid,